It's my pleasure this morning to welcome to the stage the Honorable David Marr, the Mayor of the City of Cambridge, who is joining us this morning. I am also privileged in these exercises to welcome our 50th reunion class. Please join me in saluting the distinguished members of the class of 1964. It is now my honor to introduce our commencement speaker, Chairman of the Board and Chief Executive Officer of the DuPont Company, Ellen Kullman. It's particularly fitting that Mrs. Kullman will be our speaker this morning. She began her career with a degree in mechanical engineering and went on to a Master of Science in Management. Ellen is a leader. After joining the DuPont Company, she occupied a long series of leadership positions before rising to become the CEO in 2009. This was a tough year to take on that role, given the economic downturn with which we were all coping. Mrs. Coleman coped and then has moved forward, focusing DuPont on, quote, using science to improve the world, end quote. The corporate strategy which she has introduced is built around the implications and the opportunities of global megatrends: the rising human population, environmental change, soaring demand for energy, just to name a few. DuPont was once thought of as being synonymous with nylon, maybe with Teflon. They've now moved into agriculture, nutrition, advanced materials, and industrial bioscience. Ms. Coleman is and has often been recognized as one of the most important and powerful corporate leaders in the world. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Ellen Kullman.
Good morning. President Rafe, distinguished guests, graduates, families, and friends, it is an honor to be here today to address this year's graduating class and to take my place in the long line of DuPont executives linked to this great institution. In DuPont's 211-year history, 6 of our 19 leaders of our company attended MIT. In fact, we owe the very existence today of our company to 3 cousins who attended MIT and who in 1902, when the president of the company unexpectedly died and the family was about to sell DuPont to its largest competitor, these 3 young men did the largest leverage buyout of the time and put DuPont on its future as a science company, creating new organizational models, and really brought it to the intersection of science and innovation that we are playing out today. You know, of course, DuPont is not the only company to benefit from the entrepreneurial energy of MIT grads. I recently read that if the active companies founded by MIT graduates was a single nation, it would be the 11th largest economy of the world. And that doesn't even include my favorite MIT-derived company, Stark Industries of Iron Man fame. All of this speaks to MIT's commitment not simply to intellectual achievement for its own sake, but to its practical application in ways that improve lives and benefits humanity. It's a commitment we embrace at DuPont, where we work to make lives better, safer, and healthier for people around the world. We see in the MIT community a partner in both deed and in spirit. MIT is a hothouse of innovation, as is DuPont. And like MIT, we have the desire to push the boundaries of scientific discovery and translate knowledge into solutions that touch every level of society. Your experience in the environment here at MIT has stretched and tested you in ways that perhaps you did not think possible, and you've come out better for your efforts. As you begin your careers, I hope you'll discover that within every serious challenge or issue you face, there are seeds of a renewed and often better direction. I speak from my own experience here as I took the helm at DuPont in 2009 in the midst of the worst global economic crisis since the Great Depression of the 1930s. It was a frightening time. You know, we pride ourselves in our planning, but planning was not helping us at all. As a matter of fact, it was impossible to predict what was going to happen the next day, much less the next month or the next quarter. And it was a situation that was unprecedented in my 35 years of business. You know, I get asked a lot how I handled it, what I did through that crisis. And my answer is that I relied on everyone, I relied on everything I had available. A strong team, wise counselors, dedicated employees, and my own inner resources. And I learned some very specific things. First and foremost, I learned that my training as an engineer served me very well in systematically understanding and then resolving the challenges at hand. Now, by one count, a third of my peers in the S&P 500 also began their career as engineers. So what's so special about engineers? Well, I know that's a loaded question here at MIT, where we have scientists and engineers and many others graduating today. But at our core, engineers are problem solvers. And in my case, I think I approach the problem like the mechanical engineer that I am. I think about how heat, light, and water can make a difference. It's a focus that I've used throughout my career and throughout my life, and I wanted to share that with you today. Heat is intensity. How does an idea hold up? Will it withstand the challenges ahead? In the business world, the most intense heat needs to be internally generated. It's the drive of that entrepreneurial spirit. I was given the opportunity to build a business segment for DuPont around safety and protection. I inherited 6 different businesses with very little in common with each other, or so they thought. I was challenged to make them work together, to build something new. I assembled the leadership in a room for 2 days and said to them that we weren't leaving till we figured it out. Brought an intensity, a heat to the situation, and we figured out a plan, and a plan that worked. In fact, between 2002 and 2006, this unlikely group of businesses delivered the largest margin growth for any segment of the company. But it took that intensity, that insistence on performance, that drive, that delivering of results. It took heat. Don't be afraid of the heat. The second is light. By light, I mean transparency, enlightenment. As a business leader, I learned to look at everything from different angles, to shift my perspective, to assume different points of view. Now, I'll admit, this did not come to me naturally. The hardest thing I had to learn in my career is that I'm not always right. I had to develop the discipline to listen. Now, listening doesn't always mean agreement. You may continue to disagree, but if you take the time to listen, it'll be a disagreement for a reason, and that tension can lead to understanding and, more importantly, to new ideas. Light brings those unique thoughts that may otherwise remain undiscovered. Now, this is particularly an important skill for the scientist and the engineer to develop because it can often address our biggest blind spot. Sometimes the science that we find so elegant or the technology that we believe so promising doesn't look that way to others who view it from a very different lens. We have to avoid the arrogance of assuming that we're right simply because science is on our side. Light allows us to connect to others by showing a genuine respect for different points of view. So as you take on new opportunities and challenges, expose them to light. Look at an idea, a choice, or a challenge in an unflinching manner. Be open to new ideas, embrace new experiences, embrace the diversity of thought of people, embrace light. Shine it to spot the flaws in an idea or an innovation before your competition does that for you. And finally, with heat and light, you also need water. By water, I mean resources, investment that nurtures growth and nurtures health. You can never have too many of those resources. You know, my father owned a landscaping business, and one of my earliest jobs was watering the plants. I hated it. He said you could never count on enough rain, and you had to be out there to water. It won't take root, it won't grow if it doesn't get enough water. It's a vital message that stayed with me to this day, and has served me well, both personally as I've raised my children, and professionally as we make the critical choices about what new ideas need. The most vital resources, water, for any endeavor is time and investment. In particular, your time and the investment you make in yourself. No innovative idea gets started or succeeds without heat, light, or water. They are the energy, the creativity, and the determination required. The stewardship of these essential resources don't end with graduation, not by a long shot. For sure, in whatever field you're being awarded your degree, you know the meaning of hard work. You already know how to manage your time and to invest in yourself. After all, you've succeeded at one of the most rigorous educational institutions in the world. But none of us know the challenges we will face, but you'll find out soon enough. My advice is indulge yourself in constructive ways. Focus on the things that make you and the people you love fulfilled. That's the real water in your life, and you can never get enough of it. I believe my focus on heat, light, and water can be applied to projects large and small, to ideas and goals that are institutional or personal in nature. So whatever your objective, professional achievement, personal fulfillment, my message to you is to seek the intensity of heat, the insight of light, and the vitality of water to transform your life and the lives of others. Today we honor your accomplishments. We look forward to your contribution. Many of tomorrow's problems are going to be solved by you as you pursue careers that draw on your talent, discipline, and way of looking at the world that brought you to MIT in the first place, and which has led to this very proud moment. It's my privilege to share it with you. I congratulate you on your achievement, and I wish you well in all that lies ahead. Thank you.